Hi guys, Chris here again, and I've got another short video today on the topic of stress. And today we're going to look at something that's known as the stress bucket. Some of you may have seen this before. It's quite common for people who work in health, fitness and wellbeing to talk about the stress bucket, but that's because it's such a good, simple way of helping people visualise what's going on. So what I'm going to try and show you is how stress basically accumulates in our lives, and what I hope that'll do is help you have some perspective over the reason sometimes you feel the way you do if you're really stressed, and a kind of quick way of at least asking yourself a few questions that might allow you to reduce some of that stress load down, so you just feel a bit more relaxed and able to control other parts of your life. So for example, this bucket here is your stress bucket, and when it's empty you've got no stress. When it's full and overflowing, that's when you're overwhelmed, chronically stressed, sort of really down and feel that everything's running away from you. And what happens is, I want you to imagine this bucket is going to be filled full of lots of little taps, either dripping or pouring water in, and all the water coming out of these taps is different types of stress from different areas of our life. So for example, we could have a tap that's filling our bucket, what's that, about 1/8, and that could be from money. We could have a few money concerns, and if we had a massive financial worry and it was just the worst thing in the world, that could take up 2/3 of the bucket. But for example, at the moment we're going to say it's about about a fifth of our bucket or our stress load is from money. And then what we have next, for example, for a lot of people, is we could have some deadlines from work. A lot of people get those, and again, that's something that's kind of imposed on us from external sources. We feel really, I'm not going to get it done on time, and that adds to the stress load. We could also have, absolutely anything. For example, I'm going to give you an example of myself. At the time of shooting this video, I've suffered with lower back pain for about 2.5 years now, possibly slightly longer. Seen a lot of people about it, varying degrees of success, but it's still there. It stops me from training properly, which kind of affects my mood quite a lot. Sometimes it's quite hard to be upbeat working in health and fitness when when you don't feel like fully alive and as fit as you could be. And it's quite painful from time to time, and it's just always there, and you kind of learn to deal with it. But that in itself is a stress, and the longer it drags on, I'm thinking, God, are we going to get this sorted? So, for example, you could have something like pain, and that contributes to your stress. And as you can see, this bucket is filling up, and you could have someone with a really poor diet, eats a lot of processed food, and that food is actually a stressor on your diet, on you as a person. It will make you, even though it's not going to make you, running around stressed like a work deadline will do, putting too much rubbish food into your body will contribute to your stress load. Have no doubt about it. It will put strain in your body. Your body's going to have to work hard to try and metabolize and eliminate all this rubbish. And so it fills this bucket up. And then we could have another big one for many of us. We're social creatures. So we could have relationships, just about fits on there. We could have a bit of grief with the husband or wife, falling out of a mate, whatever. And someone we know, our relationships can cause a stress. And then basically we're near the top, and then what can happen is we're thinking, oh God, so much going on in my life, but I'm coping, it's all right, and then we're just about treading more, and then bang, what happens is you drive to work, car breaks down, that's a bit annoying, but then we find out the gearbox is knackered, it's out of warranty, and you got to buy a new gearbox, and that's, say, 800 quid, and you think, shit, I've not got 800 quid to spare to fix my car, and that just that's just a huge, it's more money. For example, massive stressor over the top of the stress bucket. And so what happens then, all this comes tipping down the side, and as I said earlier, when the bucket starts overflowing, that's when real overwhelm happens and we start to feel like we're losing control. But the thing to remember with this is that that bill of getting that gearbox thing, whilst in the moment it might feel like, you know, the world's against us, you know, God, you know, it's not fair. That's not really the problem. Whilst it would be a problem on its own, if all this other stuff hadn't gone on before it, you know, your financial situation might not be any different. You might still be thinking, God, how am I going to pay this off? But what would happen is you'd have more space. You'd have a lower stress load. You're thinking, right, I've got a bill. What do I need to do about it? Right, I can't pay it. What are my options? Let me brainstorm. Can I speak to someone about it? Can I delay payment? Can I claim on insurance? Can I do this? Can I do that? And you start using the logical reasoning part of your mind, which, if you've seen one of the earlier videos where we talk about stress being primitive part of your mind, it's all reaction based or survival based. You know, the front part of your mind, the more recently evolved part of your mind, where you use logic, use reasoning, you're a bit more calm. The thrive mode, where you choose a response. You're not going to be able to really do that whilst your stress load is kind of, you know, it's basically overflowing from the bucket. So a quick way to look at this is, and it's not always, again, you know, that easy, but to think, right, well, that bill is going to be there no matter what. And all this stuff is there for a reason, but you might think, well, you know, what can I take out? How can I just reduce this stress load? You're not trying to empty the bucket, you're just trying to reduce it down slightly. And it might mean, for example, you know, and as I say, it's not that easy, but you might think, well, some of these deadlines at work, if I just focus on getting, you know, the two major things that are hanging over me completed, I'm going to forget about the bill for the moment. I don't have to respond to that straight away because, you know, because it doesn't need dealing with a week. Right, I'm going to focus on the deadlines. Again, it's difficult to do when you've got this massive stress load going on. If you could, you know, remove that, or at least reduce it down, obviously all this other stuff would come down, and then you're going to think, right, I've got some space. And what that should, in theory, do is, as you create some space, it allows you to think clearly even more. So then you might start thinking, right, God, I've got that off my chest now. I feel, you know, I feel relaxed, or I feel a little bit more relaxed. I've still got loads of crap to deal with. I feel in a better position to talk through with, say, relationships with a mate who you've had a massive argument with. Right, actually, before I was stressed, I was thinking, sod him, you know, he can, you know, go to hell. Now I'm actually thinking, well, that's a bit, you know, there's no point falling out over that. And you might go and address this relationship thing. And again, you know, I'm not saying that you just kind of go through these one by one and it goes down and life's hunky-dory, but actually using this diagram and using this example to, even sometimes when you're stressed, just brainstorm what are the key things that are nagging me. Because so often we focus on the two or three, you know, huge stresses that are at the forefront of our mind, and stuff that perhaps we can't change straight away. But what we want to change is how well we feel we can influence those things, and we can feel better influencing those things if we remove the kind of smaller blocks. And it's really about creating headspace. It's kind of saying, I am capable, I am resourceful of controlling these things or influencing them. I'm capable of ticking them off, but there's so much going on at the moment. How do I reduce the amount that's going on so that the real big stresses in my life, I feel more in control of influencing them and reducing them down. So I hope this helps. As I say, it's not like anything, it's not black and white. It's not, you know, a lot of people think, well, that's really easy. But actually just have a think about all this stuff that's going on, and, you know, if ever you do get a bit overwhelmed, just maybe draw this diagram out on a piece of paper. You know, coach yourself and sort of think, right, well, you know, what are the things that I could just focus on removing, just to try and give myself a little bit of breathing space and a little bit of clarity. So hope this helps. Thanks.